While you're staying home, you need to post a video or a sign like this one saying who you're going to stay home for, and you tag 6 friends so they do the same. And since we're all connected by various degrees, trust me, I know, we can work together to stay home and keep each other safe and spread the word.
I'm here with Kevin Bacon. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. My first question is, did you ever think that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon would play into a cause like this with this challenge you've started?
Well, I don't think that anybody really could imagine where we're at this moment right here. But the one thing I'll say is that I've always believed that 6 degrees was not ultimately about me. I think that the game was sort of fun and it took off, because there was a, kind of acting and celebrity component to it. But the truth is that, people are really hungry for connections, and that's why social media, took off so specifically. And that's why, Facebook was so huge when it first came out. It's because all of us are looking for ways to be connected. And sadly, for better or for worse, I think this virus has really kind of pointed that up in a really, really extreme way. It's really hitting home. So on the downside of things, we can see the connections between people in the way that it's spread and the way that people get affected. On the upside of things, I think we realize that the things that we do in our neighborhoods and the things we do on this side of the world are going to affect people in other places as well. And we're all just kind of riding this big boat together.
It certainly puts things in perspective. And so you have started this I Stay Home For challenge, and you're playing off of that 6 degrees of separation a bit as well. So tell us about how you came up with the idea for it, and maybe just explain the basics of it.
Well, we were just kind of thinking of a way to, I don't know, just do something. We got a lot of time and they're sitting at home. And started thinking about the idea that you stay home for someone that you care about, because if you go out and you interact with someone, you may not get that person sick, or that person may not get you sick, but they may get somebody else sick, and it can, kind of, be connected through a series of 6 degrees. And then we all have somebody in our lives that is important to us. And that's a good reason to stay home.
Every one of us has someone who is worth staying home for. And I am staying home for Kira Sedgwick.
Kev?
Speak of the devil. What? I'm doing something.
You are just encouraging people to stay home when you can, stay home as much as possible to halt the spread of coronavirus. And you want everybody to tag and post a video or a picture of who they're staying home for. You said, of course, the wonderful Kira Sedgwick. You guys are one of those golden couples in Hollywood that we all love so much. You've been together a long time. I got to ask you, how are you doing staying at home together so much? And what tips do you have for the other couples out there who are changing their daily routines?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we absence makes the heart grow fonder, they say, right? Well, I also think that there's an opportunity here to get into even deeper level of a relationship. But we try. We keep our communication lines open as much as possible. We started meditating together, which is something we've never done before. Kira all of a sudden said, I want to do a puzzle. I don't think we've ever done a puzzle in 32 years and 31 years of knowing each other. And we have this, puzzle that's sitting right on our coffee table. I don't know if we'll ever do it, but she wanted to have a puzzle. So, new stuff. We're experimenting with, different ways to cook things out of the pantry. We made this terrible cake out of what we had the other day, and playing music. We always have a lot of instruments around the house, and we'll just start, playing something, singing something.
Yeah.
And,
I absolutely love that, again, things are put in perspective. You've been together for 30 years and you're doing some things for the very first time now that you're at home together. And you guys are probably used to, you're both such incredibly talented working actors. So you're spending long days on set or you're traveling. And I would imagine it maybe has been a while since you've spent this much time at home together.
I think it has been, yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
has been. We're both very, very busy and, bouncing all over the place. So yeah, this is the most time we spent together in a long time.
Love the ones you're with. It's the definition of it now. And what about your kids and the rest of your family? How is everybody, and how is everybody kind of staying strong through this?
Everyone's doing really well. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I think that all of us are, there's two pieces of it. One is that we have to kind of close the circle, right? Close the circle of friends that we're actually connecting with and the people that we're seeing. And I think as the news has come out, all of us have kind of started to limit the amount of people that we come in contact with. On the other hand, I think that there's a lot of time, and we should all remember to take advantage of this time to reach out to the people that we love. We do have these kinds of, whatever, chatting apps, and if you really want to see somebody, if not just picking up the phone and calling, and it's good just to connect with family and friends. I mean, a lot of old friends are reaching out to me. I just got an email from an old buddy of mine just saying, hey, I haven't talked to him in I don't know, a couple months, and it's cool.
Well, I wanted to ask you, I mean, I think one news item hit not just Hollywood, but everyone, because he's such a beyond beloved person. But when Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson got it, I mean, we were all taken aback. And of course, he was your co-star in one of the best movies of all time, Apollo 13. Is he somebody who you've talked to? I know he's been giving people updates, but had you spoken to Tom and Rita through all this?
We've exchanged emails, and I'm they're very much in my thoughts. Crazy about the guy. He's not only a incredible actor, but just a real great man, and Rita as well. And I mean, I think that it was interesting how somebody that is that beloved was so early, in the. I mean, now we're at a place where I think we're going to see a lot of people that are well known. But the way that he came right out with it, which by the way I don't think he needed to do, and said this is a real thing, and he also said and we're going to be okay. I think it was very, very powerful and beautiful, kind of move on his part. Thinking about him every day.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about who you, so other celebrities now are of course jumping all over this amazing challenge of yours, I Stay Home For, and who you tagged, because you tagged 6 people, Jimmy Fallon, Demi Lovato, Elton John, Kevin Hart, Brandi Carlile, and David Beckham. So everybody's fascinated to know, why would Kevin Bacon pick these people? 6 Degrees. Why did you choose those people?
I don't know. It was just kind of, it was sort of I have to say, it was sort of a group conversation that we had, because, there's this weird idea that since it's me, I have everybody on my speed dial, and you know what I mean? That's not really the way my life is,
Everybody wants to be 1 degree from Kevin Bacon.
All of my friends are not, superstars. But I just thought about each of these people for different reasons, were people that, I admire, either their, whatever, music or humor or athleticism or talent or whatever it happens to be. And also in some cases, their activism and I don't know. It's a pretty random list, honestly.
Okay.
It was sort of a brainstorm, and I just thought, I don't know, Elton. I mean, I adore the guy. I adore his music, and I adore everything that he's done in terms of he was so active early on during the AIDS crisis, and just is such a great dude, and so it just popped into my head, and he was one of the first people to respond. So
Well, again, it puts in perspective. Look, even if you don't know somebody personally, we're all connected through this, and we can all affect others through this. Did anybody DM you back? I don't know if even with all these 6 people, if you've met them all before, but if not, like, did Demi Lovato say, "Hey, thanks for tagging me in this" or anything?
Well, Demi Lovato popped into my head because very early on, years ago, I was on a television show called The Following, and she reached out and said, I just really, really love that show, and I'd love to come visit the set. And I really wanted it to happen because I was a real fan of hers, and then it just kind of didn't happen. So way back in the back of my mind, I thought, well, Demi Lovato, maybe. Apparently she has a few followers. I don't know.
This
but
time
she's got about 50 million followers more than I do.
Well, you picked a great list too of a diverse list, people who can reach out to all different types of communities with their following, which I think again is what we need right now to just spread that awareness.
Yeah, I also want to say that one of the cool things about this thing is that because there's this hashtag, I stay home for, I can look at all the responses, and it's really great to see. Of course, I'm thrilled that the celebs have jumped on board, and I hope many more do, and we keep spreading it in that way because they have the power to spread it in that way. But also, just individual people, and like I said, the people who are out on the front lines have also responded in their own way, saying I'm out here so that you could stay home, and I think that's really powerful. And I also think there's things that we can do. I mean, at 6degrees.org, I'm sure we have places there that we can point you towards in terms of things that you can do to help besides posting a video. There's going to be a lot of people that are hungry. There's a lot of food banks in your areas that need help, and there's No Kid Hungry. There's the American Red Cross. There's a lot of ways that we can help.
So awesome. Thank you so much. Before I let you go, I do want to ask you one more question about one person you just have 1 degree from. When all this is over, hopefully, Apollo 13 turns 25 in June. That is a movie to be celebrated. When you look back, did you have any idea when you were making that movie that, years and years from it coming out, it would be such an impactful film still?
Well, I think that, we felt like we were making something special. And I think that we were really super tapped into NASA, into that story, and into the history of the space program. And we could feel, actual astronauts getting excited about the movie that we were making. I mean, Hanks, I think he learned so much about the space program. I think he could fly the shuttle, honestly. He would just rattle this stuff off. It just blew my mind. And Bill Paxton, the late great Bill Paxton, was also really super into it, and it did feel like Ron was making something that was really going to last. I was just digging around in my basement recently and found this behind the scenes footage of us on the Zero-G airplane, also known as the Vomit Comet. And I had all the footage digitized because I didn't know if anybody else had seen it. And it's really wild because, a lot of people, it's a long story, but people don't know that we actually filmed up in this Zero-G airplane that NASA, up until that point, had only really used for testing of equipment and astronaut training. And Ron Howard had the idea to get up there and film up there, and so we did, and it was quite an experience.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, I don't know if that was a favorite memory, I guess, depending on how you look at it, but I mean, you want to talk about a story of people in isolation, just a few people coming together and getting through something. The parallel is kind of funny. Do you have a favorite memory from that set, or anything that you really learned on that set that you kind of took away with?
Well, there was this real strange thing that happened where when we were back on the ground, after filming in the Vomit Comet, we were all once we got into our spacesuits and got into the the seats in the module, we were on a communications line, and it was on this line we could talk to each other, and it was me and Tom and Bill and Ron, and there were pretty long times in between setups for lighting, and it was such a hassle to get in and out of our spacesuits that we really sat there for hours sometimes. We always make sure that we peed like before we got into our spacesuits, because we knew we were not going to be moving there for a long time. And we had some of the most hilarious conversations about all kinds of stuff. I mean, I wish that somebody could have recorded. I hope not. In some ways, I'm glad that nobody recorded it. But I wish that I could hear it at least. And it was just the four of us, just riffing for hours. And I really have very, very fond memories of that. I'm not. My hard drive gets loaded up pretty quickly with stuff, and I tend to dump things off the backside. But I have a feeling that Tom probably remembers a lot of or what was said in those moments, because he's got that kind of brain, and it was some funny stuff.